I have yet to meet a dog that can't walk nicely on a loose leash. And for the vast majority of dogs, I can get them walking on a loose leash within 20 minutes without ever needing to give a correction. And in this video, I'm going to share my top tips for training your dog to walk on a loose lead without the use of aversives. I'm going to start this video by acknowledging the elephant in the room, and that is most people who are looking for advice on how to teach loose leash walking have a dog that pulls them. And if we want to solve the pulling issue, we first need to understand why dogs pull. Dogs are creatures that live in the moment. They don't think about the present or the past, and without training, lots of dogs don't have impulse control. So when they see something they want, they just go for it. And over time, dogs learn that pulling gets them to where they want to be. The dog's experience is they see something they want, they go for it, the leash pressure turns on, they tug, 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 then the leash pressure turns off the second they get to what they want. And if that happens frequently enough, leash pressure becomes an indication that something great is about to happen, so they're willing to tolerate the discomfort. So if that's the motivation behind pulling, how do we solve the issue? The first step is to stop allowing the dog to have the experience that pulling gets them to where they want to be, which leads into my first tip, and that is training loose leash walking does not start on the walk. Training loose leash walking starts in the house, and it doesn't even start with a leash. If you want your dog to behave a certain way on a leash, you first need to teach them how to behave that way without a leash. Walk up and down your house and reinforce the heck out of your dog for remaining at your side and remaining engaged with you. And however frequently you think you should be rewarding them for this, reward them more. This is starting to build up a reinforcement history, and whatever you reinforce the most is what the dog will do the most. And this brings me to my next tip, which is be consistent with what you reinforce. At the beginning stages of training, it's really important that we reward a dog every single time they do what we want them to do. Because if sometimes they get a reward and sometimes they don't, that creates a really unclear picture for the dog. And they're left guessing what gets them rewarded and what doesn't get them rewarded. And this is where marker cues become really, really valuable. Some people use clickers, I just use the word yes. And every time the dog hears the word yes, it's followed by a treat. That means the word yes becomes really valuable to the dog. Another thing to keep in mind when building a reinforcement history is that at first you'll just be rewarding behaviors, which can be short-lived and inconsistent, but over time and with lots of repetition, those behaviors will become habitual for the dog. But here's the thing, dogs are terrible at generalizing. That's why a dog will be an angel in the house and then become an utter gremlin the second you step outside the door. So going back to my first tip, if a dog learns how to walk nicely on a loose leash inside, it means they've learned how to walk nicely on a loose leash inside. If you want your dog to also walk nicely on a loose leash outside, we have to show them that those same expectations apply in a brand new environment. Which brings me to my next tip. The walk starts the second you put the gear on, not when you leave the house. If your expectation is that your dog maintains a loose leash, they need to maintain that loose leash at all times. Here are the transition points that I pay special attention to. The first one is the front door. If a dog pulls you to the front door or pulls you through the front door, they will also probably pull you down the street. So just like we started by practicing loose leash walking inside the house, we also need to practice loose leash